Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome. As always, I'm your host. I'm Will Bryant. I guess I took a little bit of an accidental break there here in the December month. This being the only the second episode of the month. Usually, I give you guys about 4 a month on average. But the holidays, like for everyone else, very busy. A little bit different for someone in the industry like yourself, like yours truly. I mean, over here. Cheers to me. Um, we don't get the regular days off, so I throw stuff into a loop sometimes. But try to make the best of it. That's the industry that I chose. That is the profession that I opted for. So, them's the breaks. What you gonna do? My time off has been spent like more resting and than really, I guess, being productive. I guess maybe I gave myself an unplanned for sabbatical of sorts here. As I wanted to finish strong, but instead I kind of stumbled to the finish line that is 2023. But I guess, it's more important that you finish than how, right? I don't know. The other thing, too, I just celebrated my 36th birthday. On Christmas Day. Yes, Christmas Day. Not getting into that again. This year was the first time. I'm still battling that cough that took me out earlier on this month, unfortunately, as you can see. This year was the first year I had to work on Christmas Eve. So one of the first times, I don't know, probably the first time that I didn't see my family on Christmas Eve. We made the best of it. Invited the folks over Christmas Day. They came over, and then a bunch of my friends came over too. We were pretty much drinking the entire time. Once my parents left, things got a little rowdier, I guess. I really don't remember what time everyone left, but it was a good time. It was fun. Definitely. Oh, I took some shrooms that somebody gave me as a tip at work. I wasn't like going tripping balls or anything, but it was one of those shroom trips where if you're drinking, it just really, I don't know, accentuates that. I don't remember anything, really swaying for me, no colors or nothing. It was just, I definitely just felt pretty, not fucked up, but pretty inebriated. Even though I was probably not really drinking any harder than some of my friends. Tony brought brought someone I hadn't seen in years over. It's funny, I looked through as people were coming by for Christmas. They ring the doorbell or something, the door outside. And at one point, we have a little camera that shows us who's outside, and I pressed the camera to see who it is. And Val's like, "Who is it?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I couldn't tell who that was." And I pressed the buzzer to let him in anyways. And it's because wasn't expecting him to come through. Tony brought our friend Josh, who I hadn't seen in years. And that was a nice, fun little surprise. Almost immediately, they were like asking me. They were like, "Dude, we remember only like part of a story from back in the day. What was it?" And like the punchline was like, "You didn't see any of them?" And they're like said in that cadence too. And they're like, "What was that? What was that about?" And of course, I remembered every detail of what happened there. So what the Josh story for this stupid punchline is we liked to play the movie game. That's what we called it, at least. We liked to play the movie game when we were in high school, and a little bit after, probably early on in college too. And essentially for us, this movie game was very simple. You name a movie, like I'll say Ocean's 11. That's a nice, easy softball to throw up there. You could play in a group of, you could play 2 people to fucking 50 people. Excuse me, guys. That's going to happen. Fuck you. Fuck you. Deal with it. So the next person that gets Ocean's 11 has to then name an actor in that movie. And so they can say George Clooney. Now, the next person has to name a movie that George Clooney has been in that hasn't been named before. So you can't just keep saying Ocean's 11. So you would say something like Gravity. And then the next person has to name an actor in that movie, Sandra Bullock, and so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. The movie game. We used to have one throwback per game. So where if you don't know it, you get to throw it back like a Uno reverse card. So it was pivotal that while your opponent had a throwback, to only give them movies that you yourself know the answer to in the event that it is thrown back to you. See, it's once the throwback is done that you can throw out obscure movies that you don't even know the answer to. So we were playing the movie game. One of these stupid teenage Queens nights. It was me, Tony, Josh, and it had to be Brian, because Brian was the only one of us back then with a car, his Camry, named Cammy. Not a lie, nor a joke. So Brian was always driving, so it was at least the 4 of us. There's a small possibility James was there, but I kind of doubt it. And of course, we're like getting high back when weed was as illegal as murder and kidnapping. When if you caught us with a dub, we were looking at the same amount of life sentence. If you caught us with a dub, we'd be looking at the same amount of prison time as someone that just murdered someone else. We went through this risk for like a dub of weed and rolled it in a fucking Dutch Master. And we started playing the movie game. Tony was always pretty good at it. I was pretty decent at it. I would pull out some victories every now and then. Josh, not the best, let's just say, at the movie game. However, this wasn't the moment where Josh was flubbing. It was, I'm pretty sure someone gave me the Bourne Identity as an answer to Matt Damon. So I couldn't obviously say Matt Damon again. And I threw it back, which was kind of surprising to Josh. And I say, I never saw any of the Bourne movies. So I got to throw this back. And Josh is like, what? You're throwing that shit back? You never saw the Bourne Identity, bro? And I'm like, nah, I never saw any of the Bourne movies. He goes, you never saw the Bourne Supremacy, bro? And I'm like, no, that counts as one of them, and I didn't see any of the Bourne movies. And he goes, you never saw the Bourne Supremacy? Or the Bourne Ultimatum? And I was like, bro, I never saw any Bourne movie. And then he had a fucking epiphany and just turns around from like shotgun and he goes, wait, you didn't see any of them? And we all just started fucking dying. Because it took him so many steps to understand the first thing that came out of my mouth. Oh, I never saw any of the Bourne movies, so I got to throw this back. It took him 3 more questions to clarify for him that I didn't see any of them. Even though I fucking said it. I never saw any of the Bourne movies, so I got to throw this back. You never saw the Bourne Identity, bro? Nah, never saw any of the Bourne movies. You never saw the Bourne Supremacy, bro? No, never saw any of the Bourne movies. Oh, so you didn't see the Bourne Ultimatum, bro? I never saw any of the Bourne movies. And then Josh goes, you didn't see any of them? Whoa, mind blown. Meanwhile, Tony and Brian laugh from the first clarifying question he had to ask. You didn't see any of them? The other Josh moment in the very same game, I believe it's their very same night too, was I have it written down in my notes as just Small Soldiers. And we were playing the same game, movie game. And I'm pretty sure I was given something like Tommy Lee Jones. And I give Josh Small Soldiers. And he goes, oh, shit, man. Damn. And he doesn't have his throwback, but it doesn't matter because if he throws it back, I got it. I love fucking Small Soldiers. Are you kidding me? Kirsten Dunst. Dennis Leary. Who else is in that movie? Oh, David Cross. He's one of the... Oh, and Jay Moore. The two of them are like the ones that come up with the toys, essentially. Who's that SNL dude that was fucking murdered in his sleep? He's on news radio too. That's gonna bug me. He's in that. He used to. Anyways. Oh, what about? Anyways, so yeah, I give him Small Soldiers, right? He doesn't have a throwback. Doesn't matter. I would have been fine. He's like, fuck, damn, and he's like taking like mad long. We're like, bro, you're done. You're out. You lose it. He goes, fuck yeah, damn. Which one was Small Soldiers? And I go, the one with the small soldiers? And he goes, oh, shit. I know that movie. I answered his question by repeating the name of the movie. Damn. I guess I lose. Which one was Small Soldiers? The one with the small soldiers. Damn it. I saw that one. Fucking love that movie. Shit. Archer. Man. Major Chip Hazard. Those are my Josh stories. So I was very happy, if for no other reason, to see him again than to just relive those two moments. I couldn't believe that they didn't. They came through like wondering, like, why did we say that? Why did we say you didn't see any of them? And I'm like, really? That memory is ingrained in my mind forever. I think I don't know if that's a talent, like the gift and the curse, but I have that. I think I have that a lot. If anything, this might have started opening my eyes to that a little bit, that I have this ability, this useless ability to remember trivial moments of my life, which is why most of the memories of my life feel so trivial. Excuse me. I don't have like profound moments. I have moments where I'm like, oh yeah, that time we got high in Bryant's Camry. Yo, dude, what moment changed your life? Pfft, I don't know. But ask me to tell you a bunch of dumb stories about getting high with my friends and playing games that don't matter. I have hours. I'm not going to do it right now. But asked me to fucking be real, tell me like the realest moment of your life, I was like, I don't know. But if you want me to talk about all the times I've been fake, I got you right now. That I can do, no problem. Can do an hour-long set on how fake I am. You want to talk about the realest moments of my life? That shit better be like a 30-second TikTok at best with like edits and shit for like long pauses where I have to think. Like, I don't know. What the fuck am I going to say here? I have a useless ability here to just remember nominal things that don't matter at all in life. That's what I'm good for. I guess that's why I fucking recorded myself once a week talking to my own fucking camera and with nobody else in the room, just because now I have an outlet to say these things and it's still like not, it doesn't really matter. I just like to talk about shit that doesn't matter. As soon as someone's like, let's discuss important things, I'm like, no, God. No, thank you. I don't want to. Like feelings and politics and people. No. Let's just things and stuffs. That's it. That's all we talk about. You know how curmudgeon-y I get sometimes? Sometimes I don't, sports is kind of like the thing that's supposed to be like, oh, easy conversation. No. If you start talking to me about the Knicks, I swear to God, I'm like, I don't want, like, I know how I feel, and I've told like 4 people in my group chat about it, and that's kind of enough for me. But you, fucking Ned, that thinks that because you order a Bud Light for me that now I have to be your friend. God, no. Don't start talking to me about like, boy, the Knicks just always seem to struggle. It's always something not even impressive. It's not even an impressive observation. Well, the Knicks really wear blue and orange there, huh? Shut the fuck up. Oh my God. Jesus. Oh, the Knicks, they that's just their MO. They can't finish in the 4th. Hey, shut up. Not even because they're talking shit about the Knicks. No. Talk the right shit about the Knicks, Not something that it sounds like you just Googled Knicks basketball and then said the top 3 most like searched statements in the search engine and then brought them up and said it to me. It's like, no. It's like if you start talking to me about wrestling, you go like, well, Hulk Hogan there, he really was big back in the day. Thank you so much. I didn't know that. As an avid wrestling fan that has watched the sport for fucking decades, because that's how old I am, now that I'm a 36-year-old ranting on a podcast for no fucking reason, you're going to tell me, well, hey, Hulk Hogan really used to do it there. That's like if I have that same fucking Knicks game on in the background and you decide to just say, well, who was the best to ever do it, right? Was Jordan. Shut up. Why do you use your breath to say these things to me right now? I don't understand. Why say, hey, you know what else you could fucking say? Well, hey, I guess there's oxygen in the air because we're breathing. Hey, stop saying things that don't matter. Especially to me, of all people. If you're going to talk to me while I'm doing my job, you fucking, first of all, don't, but also be better at it. Like, don't say dumb things. But that's so hard. That's such hard advice to give to someone. If anyone ever asks you for advice, just say don't do dumb things and don't say dumb things, and then maybe they might have a chance of succeeding. But that's so much easier said than done. These beers. I thought I was gonna have to go out to buy beer, and I go out to have a smoke in the backyard while feeding the backyard kitties, and I see that there's like 3 dozen beers left in my backyard. Not like scattered around, like they were put in 2 boxes there. So that's a nice little surprise there. So this is a leftover birthday beer. It's cold enough out here that being outside is basically like a fridge. That is one good thing about it, about the cold at this time of the year, is when I throw gatherings in my basement, we don't have to keep shit in the fridge. We literally just open the door and put it outside. You didn't see any of them? So, man, I worked Christmas Eve and I'm also working New Year's Eve. I worked Thanksgiving. That's like a nice little 3-punch combo of days that should fill your heart with warmth and sugar. And instead, it's spent at the Comedy Cellar. At least I got Christmas Day off. Christmas Day. I don't know why I had to do it that way, even though that's not how it goes. At least I got Christmas Day off, but yeah, it's the curse of the industry we work in. I got to work 3 of the major holidays here, at the stretch. Maybe that's why. Also, I feel like I'm stumbling here at the end of the finish line instead of Usain bolting it through. It's because I'm missing out on a lot of the end of year cheer, I guess, from like I only got that Christmas Day, but I usually do Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and obviously I do Thanksgiving more often than not. So got dealt some guttural blows to the old smile muscles there towards the end. It's definitely all compounded by the fact that I, got sick and couldn't do my 5 minutes at the cellar. But I guess it's the kind of more motivation for me to, since I've already realized I stumbled at the end, I can at least, I don't want to say start strong because that's too much pressure on fucking January 1st is here, do something productive. But don't take too long to get your engine started this year in 2024. That's my goal a little bit here. Because I started thinking with this being the last podcast of the year, these end of year anythings, shows, TV shows, episodes, people on Instagram, radio stations, they always do a look back at the year, top moments of the year. And I started thinking a little bit about like what were some of my own personal top moments of the year. And it even got me thinking about this podcast in and of itself, and like the top moments of me fucking just talking dumb shit with you guys or to you guys for an hour a week. In my life, I think it was kind of obvious. The two, well, I don't know. The big one, and I guess I would have to say the top moment of my year in 2023 would be the fact that I got hired at the Comedy Cellar. It's quite honestly the first time that I've felt very proud of where I work. And that was definitely a big moment for me, especially because it's weird. This podcast is a very at the time that this was going on, a very introspective look into how I was dealing with a lot of things at the time. I would say around May was a rough time for me because I was working somewhere where I didn't feel, I just didn't enjoy the job at all. I didn't think I was working somewhere that I wanted to be long term. It was, little by little, I was just having moments where I realized that they don't care about, the individual here. And I was like, oh my God. I was just this bartender that it was the first time I ever bartended somewhere that I didn't like. I've been lucky that everywhere else I've worked, besides that last place, I not just liked, I loved. Not just the place, not just the people, but like my coworkers, everything. This place, aside from a meeting, a few cool people, it was just rough. And on this very show, I was talking about it on a weekly basis, and sometimes when it was hard for me to be all ha, I said fuck it, and I even made an episode called bartending with depression and anxiety, because I was only feeling depression and anxiety at that time. I literally went through realizing that where I was working was not a good place, and actively trying to find new work, and talking about it week in and week out on this show. And to that point, there was like 2 episodes literally called like Quit My Job and My New Job back to back, where you guys were with me pretty much every step of every step of the way to me achieving what I consider top moment of my own 2023. So it's cool that a lot of you guys have a kind of an intimate idea of not just how I got this job, what led to it and whatnot, and how much it means to me, So that one I felt like was an easy one. The thing is, it was a little difficult coming up with almost anything else. I take small victories in just the fact that, we survived paying rent for another year, and that's always something to be happy about and proud of, I guess. But, I then realized, what, starting this podcast, that happened in February, that would probably have to be another top moment for me of 2023. I've been doing this now for almost a year. It's going to be a year in just about 2 months. Sometimes it's hard for me to motivate myself to get on here. Other times it's easy. I can't wait to get on here. I guess consistency is the key and the issue, and usually the hardest thing to achieve, as you can see here in December, where I'm only getting 2 episodes out to you this month instead of the usual 4. Bear with me. I apologize. Needed a little bit of me time here to finish off the year. Hope you guys understand. And it was my birthday, so go fuck yourself, But I'd say starting the podcast was a big moment for me. I have noticed that the podcast has not changed. Well, I guess not. That's not the correct verbiage. It has influenced or affected a lot of my friendships with my friends, only in the sense that if we used to go a week or 2 or even a month or 2 without really talking to each other, them listening every week gives them a much deeper sense as to where I am in life, because I'm pretty much very open with it. here on a weekly basis. This is like a video diary or journal for me in some ways. So I start finding that my friends know now. They now know more about me than I know about them. And it's weird because like a lot of times when we finally see each other, instead of me learning more about them finally and catching up, it's them bringing up moments that they remember listening to of my podcast, because I feel like a lot of times they're like, oh, I got to bring this up to him when I see him, or something. So in true narcissistically egotistical form, this podcast has somehow altered all my friendships to be focused on me. That was the point of me doing this, is so that everyone can just fucking talk about me and listen about me at all times. And I apologize for that here at the end of 2023. I really do. And then I honestly, I couldn't come up with like another top moment. If I were to say like most fun moments of the year, Comic-Con with my girl on back in October, I believe that was, doing some sick cosplay as Joker and Harley Quinn. That was a lot of fun. That might be the most fun I've had all year. I didn't really go to a lot of shows this year in terms of like music. So, and truthfully, the few that I did, like one of them, I kind of hated. I just had to be on shrooms to even be there. But yeah, that night, like how the Mirage here in Brooklyn is really shady because it's in a weird area and people like end up fucking going missing, or there are reports of just a lot of creepy fucking things going on. I literally walked through that area by myself while throwing up like profusely from a shroom chocolate bar, and then got to the Mirage and just found my friends. Was like, all right, let's listen to this shitty music. I am so irresponsible. I couldn't really think of anything besides like fun things, I guess. And I wrote down as the third top moment of the year to try to put a positive spin on something that was very, very fucking negative for me. I wrote down almost comedian, which is just terrible grammar and anything, but essentially the fact that I took the steps towards achieving my goal, which was to get on stage by the end of the year. Newsflash, it's the 30th. Tomorrow's the 31st. It's just, it's not happening. I guess that's part laziness on my part. But like I said, I've been taking the few, because a lot of times when I have a day off, I'm not awake until fucking 12, 1, and I don't feel good until 4 or 5. I don't know. I really took my days off this month to kind of recharge for the next work day. It's this time of the year, especially at the cellar, it's apparently kind of busy. I mean, tomorrow I'm probably going to be there for 14 hours. New Year's Eve at the Comedy Cellar. We'll see what that's like. So I wrote down almost comedian because although I didn't get on stage, I mean, I was supposed to. I would have fucking, if I didn't get sick, I would have been, for sure, my number one moment of the year would have been being on stage at the Comedy Cellar. Easily. Doing 5 minutes of comedy in front of my friends and my parents, hopefully, ideally. I had my number one moment of 2023 lined up December 10th. And it just was not meant to be. I'm going to have to be here recording this podcast next year, last episode of December 2024, to tell you guys that one of my top moments of that year, one of my top moments of next year will undoubtedly be the fact that I finally did get on stage, because it is happening at least in February. I have to do a lot of thinking if I want to do an open mic or two in January, or just let February be the first time I ever get on stage. I don't know. Something to think about. So at least I took steps towards that and was realistically right there, right on the doorstep. It's just fucking shitty timing of my terrible immune system. That you still hear this shit. This took me out from my set on the 10th. Tonight's the 30th. Today is the 30th, and you hear me. I'm still coughing. What the hell? I'm trying to. This is my spin on what I feel is me stumbling towards the end of 2023. I did not finish the year the way that I wanted to. And I could do one of two things. I could fucking pout about it. I can be sad and angry about it, or I can just not be. And I think perhaps it's my old age now kicking in, these wisdom genes that are supposed to start activating once you get older. But I think that what I'm learning here in this final month of 2023 is to not be as hard on myself as I've been my entire life. 35 years, I have been my harshest critic. I have been my own worst enemy. Like I'm an awesome song by Lit. I give myself like no slack, no breaks, no. And I know that for a lot of people, that's true. For a lot of people out there, you probably think worse of yourself than any other human being in the entire world thinks about you. We are our own worst. We are our own worst critics. We are oftentimes our own worst enemies. And I could take the end of this year and be very upset with myself, very sad about the way things turned out, very hard on myself about everything. And instead, I'm just not, or mostly trying not to. There was a part of me that before I started this podcast, I was like, well, fuck, I don't want to do 2 fucking sad podcasts in a row. But I did feel like nothing positive, literally besides celebrating Christmas with my friends and on my birthday and all that stuff. I was like, well, everything else besides that, I didn't do anything. I didn't do any of the things I said I was gonna do. I even missed recording an episode. Like I didn't feel like I, hit that finish line strong. And it took it took a little bit of weed, but also it took some reflection, some inner reflection to be like, well, you can approach this episode as more lamenting of shit you didn't do, or just approach this episode as realizing there were shit you didn't do and being okay with it as long as you get that shit done. So I'm trying not to be so hard on myself on the fact that I didn't get on stage this December, because I've literally already been told that I get to go on stage in February. So it's gonna happen. It's I swear to God, if I get sick in February, I'm oh my God. There's gonna be a suicide episode of I'm Will Bryant, where I just fucking jump off the roof with my camera and say, I'm dying. I'm Will Bryant. I cannot get sick in February. I just cannot. So yeah, that goal will the goal for me is no longer to get on stage. That is that is for sure happening. The goal for 2024 is once I do get on stage, get on more stages. Do open mics, do shitty open mics, do shows, do whatever. Record myself doing these shows. When possible, create content out of that, promote myself as a comedian, I suppose, Additionally, all my goals for 2024, because that's what my mind went to, is once I started thinking about top moments for myself in the past year, is what do I want my top moments to be in 2024? And it's not doing anything drastic. It's improving everything that I did or started in 2023. So if my best moment of last year was getting hired at the Comedy Cellar, this year, my goal is very simple. Don't fuck it up. You like working there, Will. Just don't fuck it up. Go in, do your job, get out, shut the fuck up, be good at your job. Don't fuck it up. Easy first goal, right? For 2024? I think so. What's another goal? I started my podcast this past year. So, goal for 2024, improve on that. I think for this year, I was just very content with the fact that I was doing it on a consistent basis, that I wasn't taking breaks, well, besides here in December, like I just said. But like besides that, I was here every week and took it very seriously. I was very open and honest with this podcast. I started off doing something that I, very different for the first like 3-4 episodes, where I was talking about like pop culture and shit like that. And then once I just turned the podcast about myself, like a narcissistic, egotistical piece of shit, it became very honest and open. And my goal, I was very much okay with just keeping that consistent. But in terms of my podcast growth and the listeners, it rose for a while and then it's kind of plateaued. So my goal for that is obviously to just get that to just keep growing in 2024. So I have to do that. I know I have to be better at promoting it, at putting out content with it, and I'm even gonna start perhaps putting out paid ads for it at some point. I also it's time for the podcast to grow a little bit. So I'm definitely going to do, this past year I had 2 guests on the podcast. I had my best friend Keith and I had Sam Bale on the podcast, where we talked about non-alcoholic drinks, and I drank a bunch of fucking things that I hated for the most part, except for the, some of the beer was nice, but sorry, Sam. But something that I'm going to do and focus on more in 2024, is to have more guests on this show. I'm not going to this isn't going to be a weekly guest thing, no, because I've learned that relying on you motherfuckers to show up is a really annoying thing. But I am going to reach out. I don't really reach out to anyone ever. So this year goal is I'm going to start reaching out to just more people, maybe even random people, and see if anyone's just down to talk about what they do and what's going on in their life and shit like that. So there's this is actually a good time to say this. Anyone out there listening, anyone out there watching, if you want to be on this podcast, if you want to be on this show, hit me up. Let me know. You might think that you have, you don't have much to talk about, or you don't work a job that's interesting enough to talk about or something like that. I promise you, you and me in this room drinking a couple of brewskis or even having a couple of cups of coffee, whatever it is, we can have a good time. Often, real conversation is more entertaining than trying to be entertaining. That's what I've found. So if you're out there and you wanna hang with me for an hour and a half, whatever, hit me up. Let me know. Shit, I might even make this like a little promo thing. Like, you want to be a guest on this podcast? Hit up this link right here. Hit me up, let me know, and we can make this happen, More guests in 2024. So grow the podcast, promote it more, better content or more consistent content on Instagram. Man, that's the thing. I wish I had the money to pay someone to fucking make my take care of my Instagram for me, my TikTok for me. That's the crux of this. That is what feels like the most laborious part of this process. Like, consistency here on recording and talking to you is not that bad because this is the part that I love, but it's laborious to do the whole Instagram, TikTok, YouTube shorts, Twitter, threads, blah, 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 blah thing. So, but gotta get better at it. Fuck it. Something else I'm going to try to look into is live recording live streaming and live recordings of the podcast where I can actually fucking send the podcast out or record or live stream on multiple apps at the same time, like YouTube, maybe even on Instagram, on Twitch, and it would open up the avenues to live communication with viewers that are watching live on air. Another goal, there's ways that I'm trying to grow this in 2024. Got to learn a little bit more about StreamYard to get that going. So, like I said, goals in 2023 that I achieved, or big moments in 2023. Got a job to seller. 2024, don't fuck it up. 2023, started a podcast. 2024, blow that shit up. I probably won't blow it up, but at least do better with it, 2023 was about getting it going, getting it started, keeping it consistent. 2024, grow it. Grow that shit. You know what? I'm very timid about asking people to be on the show because I feel like it's just it's just me here in my own little studio at home. It's not, it's nothing crazy. It's all DIY, do it yourself type shit. And sometimes I'm like, who am I to ask someone to come over here and talk to me for an hour for my show? But I think 2024 is going to have to be a shoot your shot like Kobe type of year. Just take more opportunities or take more chances of putting myself out there, putting this show out there. So I'm going to reach out definitely for more guests. And please, if you want to be on this show, if you're out there watching on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube Shorts, and you think that you might be interesting enough, nah. If you want to be on the show, hit me up. Maybe we can make it happen. Never know. Kind of big moment for me was not getting, I never got on stage, but starting comedy. So that was a 2023 goal. 2024 is do better. I will get on stage, but keep going on stage and, promote that. Everything that I want to do in 2024 is just taking something I did in 2023 and turning the volume up, essentially. That's what this is all about. And I think the most difficult thing for me is going to be promoting and creating content for it. I think I'm doing the fun part is always the easiest part, isn't it? For me, the recording of the podcast is the fun part. And I'm sure that the actual telling of the jokes and getting on stage will be the fun part. But then cutting up content and putting it on all the platforms and doing that multiple times a week, like that's not exactly the most fun part. But you know what? You gotta love the grind. You gotta love the grind, I suppose. What can I say? Goals. By the way, I hope you guys realize these are like personal / professional goals. You know, like if you guys are out there like, oh, your goal isn't to love your girl better. Fuck you. All right. That's not what I'm talking about here. This isn't fucking a love cast with Will Bryant. This has always been about personal fucking growth and shit. Yeah. Goal. Don't piss off my girl for another year. That's my goal for that. For the whole love life thing, don't piss her off. Number one goal, 2024. Second goal, do better at every other thing. Those are my two goals for 2024. Number one goal, don't piss off my girlfriend. Number two goal, do better at every other thing you do in your life. And if you do that, then your number three goal means you make more money and you just give more of it to her. Ergo, achieving goal number one, don't piss her off. See, it's all real easy bro science, guys. I don't know why so many of you out there piss off your significant others. The number one rule is don't piss her off. Had you followed that rule, you would be in much better shape. So, figure it out, guys. Get your head in the fucking game. All this top shit of 2023 got me thinking. Self-centeredly, narcissistically, egotistically, all this shit, testicularly, whatever you want. And I asked myself, because not enough people in this world interview me on a daily basis to figure out my daily thoughts. So I have to ask myself questions every day out loud that I answer out loud to nobody except myself because I asked them. Yeah, I talk to myself because you guys, I should be followed by cameras and interviewed on a 24-hour basis because that's how interesting I am. And because it doesn't happen, I ask myself questions out loud and answer them out loud, because if it isn't out loud, then did it really happen at all? So that's my life. Don't judge me, because judging mental illness is not cool. That's a fucking fact here in 2024. We're 2 days away from it. So I started thinking about myself in this podcast, and I was like, well, see, someone hit me up from my past and was like, hey, I haven't listened to your podcast ever. What would be a good episode like to start with, or like a great episode to get me hooked in? And I'm like Seinfeld, because you definitely don't want to fucking listen to the pilot episode. That has nothing to do with my podcast now. Remember I said that before I was talking about fucking Marvel movies and DC shit for 4 episodes, I think. And I gave up on that immediately. I actually have 5 episodes listed here. I didn't really put them in order, though. But I think I can, on the spot. What I think might be my top 5 episodes, I guess, of quote-unquote all time, since I've only started since this past February. This is episode 45, which is always held, that number's always held a special, I just realized I'm wearing a Jackie Robinson jersey, or not jersey, t-shirt that has 42 on it, and I didn't wear that for episode 42, but I'm wearing it right now for episode 45 like a fucking idiot. I should just take this off right now. Not going to. I love the number 45 only because it's what Michael Jordan wore when he returned to the Bulls after playing for Bugs Bunny and the Space Jam squad. Come back like Jordan, waiting the 4-5. So I was thinking, 45 episodes in, could I kind of think of the best of so far this year? And so this person texted me and asked me, like, what would be a good one to start with? And I actually, I thought about it. And 2 episodes came to mind right away. So those would have to be 1 and 2, I suppose, right? And those 2 episodes were Bar Etiquette 101 and First Dates and Red Flags. God, what number episodes were those? Let's see if I could even find out. I haven't logged into my podcast on my laptop in so long that it had to update my logo from the Big Kid with Will Bryant. I started off as Big Kid with Will Bryant. Now it's just I'm Will Bryant. I got even more egotistical. Bar Etiquette 101 was very early on. It was episode 7. That was a very simple episode. That's where I literally talked for you guys for 2 hours, apparently, 2 hours and 10 minutes, about how you should fucking act at a bar. What are things that are okay? What are things that are not okay? Because so many people out there just don't know what's okay. A lot of you people out there have always wondered how should you act at a bar with the bartender? What's a cool way to like get cool with them or whatever? Just what's cool? What's okay at the bar? What's not? Episode 7, Bar Etiquette 101. I go into so much of it. I talk about how to behave, tipping, how to treat your bartender, how to talk to them, all that shit. Even got into ordering and like what not to order. There was another episode where I literally listed the top 10 things that your bartender hates hearing when you order. Top 10 worst orders, essentially. That didn't make my top 5 list, though. Because a lot of you guys were so butthurt when you realized that you guys had a drink on the top 10 list that you fucking liked ordering at the bar. Well, you know what? Fuck you. You piss us off every time you order that. Take it. So people liked Bar Etiquette 101. And right behind that, I would probably put episode 8, First Dates and Red Flags. Because those might be interchangeable. First Dates and Red Flags might be the number one, most referenced episodes I've heard from people. And also I'm taking into account downloads and views and all that stuff. These were 2 of my most popular ones. I don't know, something about hearing a bartender's perspective on first dates from you, from an outsider looking in, and then just hearing all the red flags and seeing all the red flags happen right in front of me and just being shocked when you guys don't even see it for yourselves. I mean, sometimes it takes that other person looking in, and as a bartender, I can be, and I have been that person for many years now. So episode 8, First Dates and Red Flags, where I literally just talk to people about how obvious it can be to spot someone on a first date, how the tropes, how you should act on a first date and how you shouldn't, based on someone that witnessed people fucking up and witnessed people succeeding. and the red flags. That episode was the Vineyard Vines guy. To this day, people fucking bring up Vineyard Vines to me, man. I have friends that'll be chilling and will take a picture of some fucking bro wearing Vineyard Vines just to show it to me. Another episode, another very early episode that I'm putting up here in my top 5 only because of what it meant to the podcast. Episode 6. So literally 6, 7, and 8. My episodes 6, 7, and 8, I think are within my top 5 episodes only because of, I guess because these 3 episodes I think were very essential to my switch in how I was going to approach this podcast. And I don't think I've said it yet, but my number 3 episode of the year is episode 6, 4 concussions and a gun. And the reason I'm putting that on my top 5 is because that's actually the very first episode of the podcast where I did not give a damn about making it somehow like pop culture, nerd culture, comic book related. Because episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4, and even 5, which was my first guest with Keith, my buddy Keith Classic. But the first 4 episodes was all about like Marvel and DC shit. It was I had an episode up there that was actually really fun to do and I thought was really cool. Still very focused on pop culture, where I ranked all 33 Super Bowl halftime shows ever. One was like based on the Hogwarts controversy, where they were saying that all Harry Potter was like racist or whatever. Episode 5 was me and Keith literally drafting football teams based on Marvel characters. You know, it wasn't until episode 6, 4 concussions and a gun, where I had some more, you know, Marvel, whatever, DC content. I had my pop culture content ready to go. And instead, I started off the episode with what I thought was just going to be like a 5-10 minute intro. Back when I would outline my episodes at all. And I was going to talk about how I pulled a muscle, like a rib muscle or an abdomen muscle, by sneezing, and how stupid of an injury that was. And that little intro ended up with me talking about all the times that I've hurt myself or gotten hurt really badly throughout my life. And, you know, I talked about falling in the bathroom and needing to go to the hospital, thinking I broke my ribs. I talked about all the times I got jumped as a kid growing up. And I talked about how I've had 4 concussions throughout my life. And I've even gotten held up at gunpoint. And so episode 6, I finally stopped caring about whatever the fuck was going on in movies and TV shows and whatever. And it was about me. And it was titled 4 Concussions and a Gun. And then episode 7 was Bar Etiquette 101. And episode 8 was First Dates and Red Flags. And then, you know, I didn't put it in my top 5, but episode 9 was I'm a B Squad Friend, which to this day has kind of, it's still a part of the lore of our friendships right now. I mean, our chat is named B Squad. We are essentially B Squad forever. So that moment where my podcast shifted from what I thought it was going to be to what it really should be, those episodes, not only they did really well. That's the thing too. Like the numbers went up, the views went up. So, it was just obvious. Well, not the views, but the numbers went up, at least in downloads and shit. And that was just obvious. Like, okay, I'm doing something better here. I'm doing something more right here. People care more about this. And so that really helped a lot, in me realizing the direction I should go with the show. Perhaps the episode I got the most, feedback on, it was how I made someone quit drinking with Sam Bale. It's the second time that I had a guest on the show, and this was a more traditional guest where, you know, it's not me just drinking beers with my best friend all night talking bullshit and knowing that we could talk for hours. Episode 16, how I made someone quit drinking. Me and Sam talk about how we literally hung out on the last time that she ever drank alcohol, and how now she's on this non-alcoholic endeavor to spread the word on non-alcoholic drinks in general. And she's gone on to start pop-up bars called Third Place Bar all around the city and at this point boroughs. So I had her on the show, and for like 2 hours we taste tested a bunch of shit, talked a bunch of shit, and I learned a bunch about non-alcoholic drinking. still drinking alcohol, as you can see, but that's not the point. We had a great time, and I got exposed to new listeners, new watchers, and it was fun. And because of how well that went, that's really a motivation for me to do that more in 2024. Maybe I'll have Sam back again. We'll talk about more fucking non-alcoholic shit that I'll drink with her and probably hate, but it's all good. I'll have more people on the show, and it's mostly because this episode was received so well. And then for what I consider probably my fifth, best episode of the year, it was between two, but I ended up going with number 20 over number 19. 19 honorable mention, I guess, is I Quit My Job, which is one of my best performing episodes ever, and it's only right behind my number 5, which is also one of my best performing episodes ever. My New Job, that's what the name of the episode was, and I think just a lot of people were interested in seeing how I quit my job and how I got a new job in back-to-back episodes, and the fact that I am gleefully, proudly able to announce in episode 20 that I got this new job, and it's not just any new job, it's a job at the Comedy Cellar. It changed everything, not just in the podcast, but in my life. A lot of friends reached out to me for my birthday and were just openly telling me how they were proud of the direction I've taken in my life this year. And this episode, this moment was a huge part of that, because they know that working where I work now it matters. It's a big deal. And that I shouldn't fuck that up, which is, I told you, that's my goal for 2024. Some honorable mentions. I said I Quit My Job was right behind there. I was really almost about to put Bartending with Depression and Anxiety, number 18, up there, simply because that's when I really decided that I can be very open with my own shortcomings on this show and not just have it be something where I try to accentuate my positives. I did that again in episode 22, my epic failure, the story of Vibe Fest 2. And then, I kind of just found a groove there where I just started talking about whatever the fuck I want. Episodes like my comedy debut and my first joke were very popular with you guys, and I think it was just, I think what I'm realizing is that some of these episodes where the topic is more focused on something, I guess, integral in my life or important in my life, nicely enough, you guys seem more interested in that. A lot of times I went on a streak there where I was just kind of being very silly with a lot of my episodes, and although those did okay, it's what I'm realizing is that the more like focused episodes on a certain topic, or the more introspective episodes on important moments in my life, those seem to be, I guess, just the realest episodes seem to be receiving the best, feedback. So it's just something that I'm taking into account for this next year. So just, again, another goal of mine for this show, this podcast, is just read the tea leaves, see what's going on, see what you guys like more. And, I plan on hitting this year with some more focused episodes instead of just me blindly silly goosing it for 60 minutes. Want to have some guests on the show. Got to upgrade some of this equipment for that to happen, but that's not that hard. That's going to happen very soon. And honestly, besides that, just that's it for me. I swear my only goal for 2024 is do better at everything that I did in 2023, which is a good place to be, because far too often in my life, in the past 35 years that I've celebrated my birthday around this time of the year, my goals for the next year were to fucking completely change my life around, to do a 180 and go in the opposite direction. So for the fact that my goal at the end of this year is actually just continue doing what I did, but just do better, God, that's a huge improvement. And if anything, maybe that's the top moment of my 2023, is that for once in my life, I don't feel like I'm going in the completely opposite direction of where I should be. I don't feel like I'm aimlessly wandering around. I feel like I have my targets set. I feel like I have goals. I feel like I know how to accomplish them. And the only thing stopping me is my fucking lack, my ability to fucking embrace laziness sometimes, you know, and then I just gotta get over that. So I told you I was turning this December sabbatical into a way to just be less hard on myself, and that's how I'm gonna do it. Realize that I actually finished the year in a good place because I'm not. Guess what? I don't hate myself. That's a fucking win. I hope you guys don't hate yourself either. Besides that, I also hope you guys do a couple of things for me. I hope that you follow me on Instagram, that you follow me on, what's the other one? TikTok. Subscribe to me on YouTube. Follow me on Threads, on X. It's very easy. My name is I'm Will Bryant. That's 3 words. I'm Will Bryant. Bryant. Like Kobe. Guys, I hope that your 2023 is a positive one. And that 2024 is even better than before. I'll see you in the new year, guys. Peace.